Good morning. Thanks for joining me. Today, part 2 in getting hired in software sales. And we're going to be talking about the importance of the CV and the biggest mistakes that people are making, or salespeople are making with their CVs at present. Now, apologies, we were talking recently, my Pirates brothers and sisters, at one of the recent lunches, that this is the most commonly covered piece of content or video content by recruiters on LinkedIn. So apologies for that. But what I'm not looking at today is what font you should have or how many sides of paper it should be or should you have a photo. Today I want to look at 3 or 4 content parts of a sales CV that aren't happening at the moment, and I've not heard or read anything that's kind of included these things in the past. So I wanted to touch on those. So before we get onto the 3 or 4 big mistakes that are being made at the moment, let's look at what a hiring manager is looking for in a CV. Very simply, they're looking for tenure, to double check that. They're looking for progression, so they can understand a logical progression in terms of your role and in terms of the sales process or the number that you've been working to. And they want to understand your sales performance. So that's what they're looking at, alongside obviously, experience in the sector and stuff like that. So they're the 3 key things, but we're not giving them answers to those questions easy enough at present. So I'm going to come on to 3 or 4 issues that I'm seeing at the moment. So first thing, let's look at tenure. 2 key mistakes that people are making here. First is that their dates on CV and their dates on LinkedIn don't match. So that's a big red flag in terms of deception. So that kind of thing makes me think, well, what's this guy or girl trying to hide? So that's the first thing. And the second thing with regards to tenure, often in technology or in software, organizations get acquired. Too often am I seeing, maybe I've worked for company A for 2.5 years, and that company's been bought out by company B for 6 months, and I've worked there for 6 months, and after that 6 months I've moved on and joined somewhere else. On a CV, too often am I seeing these 2 as 2 separate entities, so it looks like I've had 2 different jobs, so I've moved on twice effectively. Let's make it explicit. Either put both company A and company B, put them both under the same company, so it looks like you've had the same job for 3.5 years, or make it explicit that it was part of acquisition and part of the restructure, so it doesn't look like you've had 6 months somewhere and moved on. Next mistake that I see salespeople making a lot is over-egging their job titles, particularly if they've been working in a smaller business. So the typical one here is calling yourself a sales director when you've been an individual contributor. If you're looking for an individual contributor role, make sure your job title on your CV reflects that. Now, some companies call their senior new business guys sales directors, but most don't. Sales directors in most cases means a very, very, very different thing to just being an individual contributor. So again, let's not over-egg our job title. If we want an IC role, generally listing yourself as something like an enterprise account executive or business development manager or something like that will make sure that people like me call you more, and will make sure that hiring managers don't say, well, no, because he's a sales director, why does he want to be an IC all of a sudden? Third thing, and this is the most important part of any sales CV, and I'm not seeing this explicit enough in 99% of cases, and that is making an absolute explicit summary of sales performance. It should be the first thing at the top of your CV. Don't worry about education. Don't worry even about who you've worked for and in what order. At the top, make it explicit. The financial year, what your target was, what you achieved, and key wins within that. So 2019, 1 million target, 1 million achieved, 100% to target, average order value 150k, key wins X, Y, and Z. 2018, 130% to target, member of President's Club, 3rd out of 25 reps in EMEA. Use it as an opportunity at the top to really high level from a numbers standpoint, show what you've done. And if you've missed target, that's fine. Well, it's not fine because you want to hit it, but it's good that you're being honest about it. 53% of salespeople hit target. That means 47% don't. But people aren't honest when they've missed target. If you've got a CV and out of your 5 years you've missed target 1 year or 2 years, it actually shows that you're human and it shows that you're not trying to deceive. So let's have a really honest, explicit, at the top, let's replace that third person, Sam's an excellent problem solver type thing that I'm seeing all the time, and let's have summary of sales performance at the top. Then we can come on to our career history. We don't have to explain what an SDR does or what an enterprise account executive does. Let's think about what hiring manager wants to see. What sectors have we sold into? What have our average order values been? What have the typical deal velocities been? Those types of things in the bigger career bump. So now we have it. They're the kind of three biggest mistakes that I'm seeing on software sales CVs at the moment. The other thing that I would be advising if you're looking for a role is use video. There's nothing to stop you doing a video like this, putting it on YouTube, and then putting a link to that in your CV. People are always telling me, oh, if I can get in the room with somebody, I've got a far better chance. Well, use video as part of that. We do. So if you want to work with Sales, we use video interview. We send through your CV and a snippet of a 2-minute interview, me and you, typically kind of highlighting what you've done and what you've achieved and so forth. So video is a great way, again, which you can just jump off the page and appeal to the more human elements of a hiring manager. So there we have 3 or 4 bits of advice that can really elevate your CV and give you a far better chance of getting hired. Join us again next week for part 3. Thank you.